Hello everybody, this is Zach with Top Deck Nation coming at you today with another deck profile video to prepare you guys for the state championships. We are coming to the second week. If you haven't you've been to a state championship, I definitely recommend it. You don't need any play point requirements or anything. You just show up, you pay an entry fee, and yeah, it's a great way to socialize with people, to see new players, to see new decks and strategies. So I can't recommended enough. But today we are kind of following suit. We've looked at a couple deck profiles already, so be sure to check out the channel to find some other deck profiles to get you ready for states. But today we are looking at a deck that has really dominated alongside Night March the first week of state championships, and that is going to be Vespiquen Vileplume. So, this deck has a lot going for it. Just by looking at the list, it is extremely fast. You have these hard-hitting Vespiquen, which are non-EX attackers, excuse me. And these guys are, really, really strong. That Be Revenge attack is incredibly powerful, especially late game. But, this deck archetype has been extremely successful the first week of states, and I'd like to probably attribute to that, probably because of the item lock. When people can't play items, when a good third of your deck or half of your deck is basically rendered useless, that is really, really good, and a lot of players are just not prepared to play against that. So, this is a list I've been testing. This is a list that I think is really consistent. It's a nice balance of a lot of the things that you want in this kind of deck. I do recommend checking out Team Fish Knuckles' YouTube channel. Squeaky Marking won a states in Mississippi, I believe. That's where our own writer, James Yates, I think he got fifth, I want to say. Fifth or third, I'm not really sure, but yeah, Squeaky Marking, he got first at Mississippi State Championships with a list that's just a few cards off. Basically, these Vespiquen Vileplume lists, they're going to be really, really similar. If I had to guess, I'd say they're 55, 56 cards similar because, the main premise is to just kind of burn through the deck and get the Vileplume out. But let's go ahead, enough talking, let's go ahead and jump into this deck list. So, like I said, the main attacker here is going to be Vespiquen. So a few great things about it. It's a non-EX attacker. Be Revenge, you attach a DCE, you can attack right away. And it does 20 base damage and 10 more damage for each Pokemon in your discard pile. So, at first in early game, this sounds kind of bad. If I've got 3 or 4 Pokemon, like, in the discard, sure, it's doing 60 for a double colorless, but let's be honest, with 90 HP, it's going to get knocked out pretty quickly. So basically, to knock out an EX, say an Eviltal EX that has 170 HP, we would actually need 15 Pokemon in the discard. I don't know if we'll ever get that many in the discard, but later game we definitely can. And one strategy with it is to basically sit there on the bench with your Vespiquen. Maybe hold your energy in your hand in case it gets Lysandered, but basically just sit there and let your opponent knock out whatever's active, so that way it's slowly building up that Be Revenge attack. So that is one way to kind of get that accomplished. And then you have to take note, it does have free retreat, which is awesome. That's going to let me promote it, and that way if I need to switch into something else, like Vileplume, to let it take a hit, I can do that as well. So I don't necessarily have to be stuck if I bring up the Vespiquen. So, that is basically the strategy of the deck. It's hitting hard with Be Revenge, but this secondary strategy here is this item lock, and what it does is, for Irritating Pollen, it's an ability, and it says each player cannot play item cards from his or her hand. So think of it as kind of like a permanent item lock. Unlike Seismitoad EX's Quaking Punch, which is only lasts a turn, albeit, it is really efficient with the double colorless, it's only one turn. So if your opponent finds a way around that, maybe they use a Jirachi to kind of use Stardust to knock off the double colorless, or, whatever it is, that's only a one turn item lock. With this one is crazy because it's basically the entire game, unless your opponent can Lysander and knock it out, unless they can Hex Maniac consistently. And chances are they probably won't be able to. So, this is why the deck is good. This is kind of like the bread and butter of the deck. Vespiquen and Vileplume, hence the deck name, right? But you're going to need a lot more than that. You're going to need a lot more draw power. So, we play 3 Shaman in here. I've seen a lot of lists play 4. But honestly, I don't think you'll actually use that 4th Shaman. I guess you could use it as like the extra 10 damage, but if we're just trying to get the deck balanced between the strategy of the deck and maybe affordability, I would play 3 Shaman. I think it's a good balance. If you want to play 4, you can take something out, but I think 3 is pretty optimal. So, another way we can draw cards is with Unown. It has that Farewell Letter ability. It lets you discard it from the bench and draw a card. This is great if you're already under item lock, just because suddenly I can't play Acrobike. Suddenly I can't play Battle Compressor or Trainer's Mail. I need another way to draw cards, and Unown has some great synergy with Vespiquen because, if I draw a card, that benefits me because Unown's now in the discard and then adds more damage to the Be Revenge attack. So that is why we play 4 Unown. And then lastly, we play Bundlebee because in case we have any resources that are really critical, really important, that get discarded, whether it be early or late game, we can get those back. We attach a DCE to Bundlebee, and let's say we have 2 DCE in the discard. Well, I use Rototiller, and essentially I'm netting a DCE. I'm getting that one back to kind of balance out the attack, and I'm also getting an extra one. Or, you can also use this as another type of win condition. It does have the Burrow attack and the Alpha Barrage, so if my opponent's down to say 3 or 4 cards, I can bring Bumblebee up and really start putting pressure on my opponent, forcing them to use like a Judge or a different card. So that's why I think this is really good as a one of. And if you don't really use it, you discard it and it counts as another Pokemon towards Be Revenge. But we need more speed to keep drawing cards, to keep burning through the deck, to get the turn 1 Vileplume. So we play 4 Acrobike. That's going to let you draw 2 cards and then put 1 in the discard, so that's good. We play 4 Battle Compressor just to kind of thin our deck out, put lots of Pokemon in the discard early on. We play 4 Trainer's Mail, so that's going to let us quickly grab Forest of Giant Plants and Ultra Balls and Level Balls and things like that, so we have to play those. I can't recommend enough to max those out for consistency's sake. And then, of course, for our ball count, we play 4 Ultra Ball because it can search anything, and thin our hand down to use Shaman, and of course 2 Level Ball because a lot of Pokemon in this deck, let's just count, 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, so 21 out of 27. That's probably a good 70 to 80% of your Pokemon are searchable by Level Ball, and that's going to help you get that turn 1 Vileplume. So that's why we play those. Like I said, the bread and butter of the deck is going to revolve around Forest of Giant Plants, so we need to play 4 of those. We need to get it out as soon as possible. You can probably get away with 3 just because the deck burns through resources so quickly. But, a lot of people are starting to play, 3 stadiums or more in their deck. So I think playing 4 is optimal just because you need a great counter stadium. And this is going to let you consistently evolve throughout the game really quickly. So I do recommend 4. As far as our supporter counts, we only need 3 Sycamore in this deck. Originally I played with 4, but I don't think it needs it because after the first couple turns, you don't even really use it. It really just kind of clogs your hand up. And early game it's great, and that's why we play 3 of them. And then I do play 1 AZ. AZ is good in case you're item locked and you want to, get Vespiquen out. You want to reuse some kind of item card to get you out of a sticky situation. So I can scoop the Vileplume up. I can kind of get set up again, and then I can put the Vileplume back down thanks to Forest of Giant Plants. It's also good if I want to scoop up Shaman and then put down Shaman to draw a few more cards as well. So that's why I think AZ is a great utility card. And then lastly, we play 1 Lysander because, what happens if our opponent tries to get really sneaky and puts up like an Aegislash EX or puts up something that we can't really touch. Also, what happens if we're down to a couple prizes and our opponent is trying to kind of knock off our prize exchange and they put up like a non-EX to attack. So being able to just kind of Lysander Shaman on the fly and knock it out, take 2 prizes, be really aggressive. I think that really warrants Lysander being as a one of in here. I think that's really good. And then lastly, we play 2 Floatstone. You could definitely play 3 if you wanted to, but I don't think it's necessary. Aside from the first turn or so, we don't even really use Floatstone. It's really there if we start with, say, Oddish or Unown or something, and even then, you can just kind of let those Pokemon get knocked out to add to Be Revenge's attack damage. And then, of course, we play 4 double colorless. The great thing is that Be Revenge hits for double colorless, Shaman Sky Return if we need to use it to maybe set up a Be Revenge KO, uses a double colorless, and then of course we can use Rototiller or Burrow to get those back if we need to. And yeah, that is pretty much the deck, guys. Because we play 4 double colorless, we're allowed to make room for all this stuff. I mean, look at this. We play 27 Pokemon. That is insane. That is a huge chunk of the deck. A good almost half of the deck is Pokemon, but it is necessary so we can fuel that Be Revenge attack. But let me know what you guys think of this deck. Be sure to subscribe and comment and like the video, or dislike if you didn't really care for it. That's fine too. But I will definitely have more deck analysis videos to help prepare you guys for state championships in the coming days. I believe there are plenty of state championships this Saturday, so check out Pokemon.com to see if there's one near you. But this has been Zach with Top Deck Nation, guys, and I will catch you guys in the next one.